Hello everyone, I am Tessellating Hexagons, and I'm guaranteed to not have very much of a life over the next couple of weeks because we've got just under half of the songs left to go in this year's Eurovision season to be announced, and only like 2 weeks to do it in, so I suppose I should be grateful to Greece for choosing their song in a one-singer, three-song national final yesterday and not leaving it till this week's Super Saturday, because that's going to be like 5 countries big and I am not going to get a Sunday this week. But enough dwelling on the future that hasn't happened yet. For now, I'm going to be talking about the Greek entry, which is to be performed by Dimitra Papadea, or more commonly known as Demy, and the song This Is Love, which doesn't need translating, it's completely in English. Music by Dimitris Kontopoulos, and lyrics by Demy's brother Romy Papadea and John Ballard. So, kind of a formidable team. Fan favourite artist Demy, and her brother, I guess, and the songwriting team responsible for You Are the Only One, and Hold Me from 2013, and a whole load of others. Dear oh dear, what have they come up with? Well, let's have a look, shall we? First impressions. In not so many words, the song is catchy, but there are a few things that it does that I find extremely irritating. The lyrics, for one, but just you wait, I'll talk about those in due course. And one of the most eye-roll-worthy things that a song can do, the video contains a forced hashtag. Okay, that is just the video, I admit. At least she's not singing hashtag This Is Love, because that would be so cringeworthy. But I'm gonna bitch about this now, because it's not really a valid negative point to hold against it in the review proper. Just, I hate it when songs feel like they're being so edgy and current by slapping a hashtag into their video, or, like I said, worse still, into the lyrics. Luckily it's not that bad, but still. Hashtags are just a means to an end in social media. It's not some magical badge that instantly makes something cool or trendy or hip or whatever the producers think young people call it these days. If people want to tweet about this song, they'll use hashtag This Is Love naturally. Please don't try to force it. It screams of desperation. Okay, I'll just step down from my soapbox now. I don't hate this song, I've just had that rant building up in me for a while, and I feel like part of it's Oscar Zia's fault, but I don't remember why. So anyway, let's think positive and look at what I think works well in this song. Truly, it is an enjoyable experience. I'm going to get that one right out into the open from the very beginning here. It's fun and audience-friendly. It gets your attention with the not-quite ballad bit at the beginning, and then transitions into an enjoyable party anthem who has, like, a dancey section that would sound right at home in the nightclubs both in Britain and across the Mediterranean. I would mention other places that have similar nightclub scenes, but I don't have much experience of them. I just happen to know that the UK has a scene like that, and then, as far as I'm aware, so does the Mediterranean, simply because that's a tourist destination for a lot of other countries. I don't know if other countries have this sort of thing as well, but it's that sort of music, and it would do well in those sorts of environments. Although I'm not sure exactly how much to praise this song for its... I don't want to call it a dance break, because it doesn't last all that long, but the instrumental section that's dance-worthy, because I praised Israel for that in 2014. Yeah, I do remember all that time ago, funnily enough, and that ended up not qualifying, so I don't know, that's just a weird thing that it reminds me of, just because, oh hey, it has a cool little dance break that I like every time I listen to it. Therefore, that's a bad thing? Secondly, and back into the realm of the tangible again, Demy has been a much sought-after artist for Greece for some years now, so there must be some traction behind her and her capabilities as an artist that justify the hype behind her being finally, like, quote, finally being chosen for Greece. I wouldn't know, I've not been following all that closely. At the very least, with the release of Isovia Mazi, which was her Greek language cover of Bulgaria's entry last year, If Love Was a Crime, we know that she's willing to take the contest seriously and that she understands the gravity of participating, and that wasn't even an intentional reference to Cyprus's song. So yeah, that much is worthy of kudos. Some artists just don't get that, and then it ends up showing very much to their detriment. Clearly, Demy understands what she's playing with here, and that's to her credit. She's gonna do her country proud, I am sure. And finally, I don't know how much input the composers and lyricists have when it comes to staging the song for the contest. Hell, I don't know how much input the artists have when it comes to staging their own bloody songs, but if Kontopoulos and pals, trademark, have anything to do with it. I imagine that this song is going to have big, impressive staging to back it up when it gets to Kiev. I've mentioned before that Russia's staging last year, because that was written by the same people, the staging last year was absolutely blasted by the UK commentators for being desperate and overblown and basically bigging up the song in a way that made it feel like it was begging for votes rather than earning them. Now, this sort of song wouldn't fit that kind of staging. At least not to that extreme, and that is promising. So I am expecting more than just her standing there for 3 minutes, but then again you'd expect that anyway. But I'm also expecting it to not be anywhere near as over the top as the You Are the Only Wonderwall, as I've taken to calling it. And with any luck, that happy medium should wind up being exactly what's needed to seal the deal for this song. We shall see. As for what I don't like quite so much, well, first and most predominantly, far and away the most cringeworthy lyric in this year's contest so far, Rain Falls From Above. In other news, plants grow from below, the wind blows sideways, mountains are pretty big, diamonds are expensive, blue is blue and red is red, and food is food and water's wet. But now the weather doesn't matter, these lyrics suck, you should know better. Oh. But seriously, my first reaction when I heard that lyric, not only heard it, but saw that the writers were so proud of it that they felt it necessary to include those words specifically, visibly, in the music video, was something to this effect. Oh, yeah, this is a good song so far, yeah. This is love, rain falls from... Oh, are you bloody serious? Now, I brought this up in my review of Moldova's song this year. I get that this rough area of music, not necessarily this genre alone, but... these genres as a category don't necessarily depend on lyrical quality, but, I mean, either try harder or don't try at all. Don't do this weird middle ground that comes off as supremely cringeworthy, especially if you're going to force a hashtag in there as well, but I digress. And honestly, this criticism kind of spills over into a second sort of knock-on effect domino kind of point. Some of the lyrics in the song aren't all that bad. In fact, most of the song is pretty okay. But the occasional lyric that is that cliche, or worse, ends up taking centre stage and completely overshadowing the decent stuff, giving the song an overall impression of being poorly written, even though it isn't. So, yeah, there is some poetry in there. It's not Shakespeare by any means, but there is some really high-quality lyrics in there. But I still can't help but look at the song and think, oh god, it's the Rain Falls From Above song, and that just overshadows the rest of it, and kind of... maybe I'm reading too much into it, but it just has that knock-on effect on the rest of the song. Of course, that didn't impact how Russia's song was received last year, despite being written by the same people, and containing the lyrical nothing that was thunder and lightning, it's getting exciting, or hey diddle diddle, the cat and the fiddle, as it might as well have been for the syllabic pattern they were trying to fill. But then again, that was performed by Sergei Lazarev. Bearing in mind the stereotypes about Eurovision fans, do I even need to finish this thought as to why that was accepted and this might not be? And finally, more generally speaking, I'm underwhelmed. Considering that there's been some demand for Demy to represent her country for a while now, and considering they've got this fairly big-name writing team behind it, I expected something a little more memorable than this. Sure, it's not objectively bad by any means, but what is there that makes this song stand out from others of its genre? Not much, if I'm honest. The bait-and-switch genre thing where it starts as a ballad then turns into a dance anthem... it's been done. The love, love, peace, peace kind of dance anthem sort of aspect has been done before. Don't get the wrong idea. There's nothing wrong with doing things that other people have done before. It's just what I object to is the fact that if I played this song to someone with no context, there really isn't much to this song that would make them say, oh hey, this is Greece's Eurovision entry, or oh hey, this is Love by Demy. They might just say, oh, it's a dance song, and that's as far as they get, and there isn't really all that much to help it stick out compared to others like it. That's kind of my beef here, but that's all. Now, converting that into semi-random single-digit numbers out of 10, or double-digit if you count 10, okay, that was a terrible description, but okay, my personal score for this, 8. Yeah, sure, I could bop along to this. Don't really have all that much to say about it, really, which admittedly isn't super encouraging, but hey, overall, I found it to be a little bit generic, but it's fun enough. It's a fun enough use of my time. That's kind of it, really. Not worth padding this section out any further beyond that. Technical score out of 10, 7. There is a voice in my head urging me to give it at least an 8, but I'm resting on a 7 for the time being. The song knows how to keep its audience entertained for the 3 minutes that it's on for, and as a pop song with a catchy dance section, it's well written enough, it's enjoyable enough, but for one, I can't overlook not only how cringeworthy Rain Falls From Above is as a lyric, but also how the cringe factor of that proceeds to overshadow any other impressions you could get from the rest of the song. And I can't overlook how the song colours a little too neatly inside the lines of its genre as well. Of course, I don't expect some world-ending masterpiece by any means here, I just worry that the song is more than a little lacking in the unique identity department. It's fine for a song of its genre, it's fine for a Eurovision entry of its genre for Greece, it's competitive enough, but at the end of the day, it is just a song of its genre, and little more besides. That said, how does it look next to last year's Greek entry? In my reviews over the years, I think I've made it abundantly clear how I feel about rap songs, and in last year's semi-final, Europe more or less echoed my sentiment, so it should come as no surprise that I'm ruling in favour of Demy here. My opinion of Utopian Land hasn't really changed over the past year, to be quite honest. It's a decent enough listen, with a more than decent instrumental track, and I do acknowledge their representation of Greek musical conventions within the composition. But rapping in Pontic Greek about the immigration crisis is very much a product of its time, and that's putting it gently, and a lot of people ended up not getting it. Demy's song might be a little more generic, but in exchange, by that same token, it is much more accessible to a lot more people. I've spoken before about the importance at Eurovision of striking a balance between representing every facet of your country and producing something that people are likely to vote for. If you go too far one way, you'll end up with overproduced, blustery nonsense. And if you go too far the other way, you get esoteric weirdness that nobody outside your country would really understand, nor would they be willing to give much of a chance to. Mercifully, neither of the songs I'm talking about here go quite that far, but they are on diverging ends of that scale, there is no denying that. Now, will we see Greece in the final this year? I'd say more than likely yes. Aside from one little blip in the form of last year's results, Greece have never missed a final, and this song is so much less of a gamble than Utopian Land. So perhaps Europe is sick of this kind of song by now, and maybe they'll favour something else, but honestly, for the type of broad appeal that it's going for, I doubt it will miss out on the top 10 when all is said and done. Whether that's top 3, top 5, bottom 2, or whatever, I don't think Demy will miss a spot in the final. It's just that sort of song. And it's Greece, and typically Greece gets a free pass to send songs like this. I'm not saying it's predetermined by any means, it's just, she'll be somewhere in the top 10, probably not first, but somewhere in the top 10. Granted, I don't know what the juries will make of this one necessarily, but it's a probable qualifier. That's all I'm really getting at here. So, I'll say, good luck Greece. Despite what some people have been saying, it is certainly a solid effort, but we'll see how it all comes together when we meet you in Kiev.